Recently, I've been looking for an external portable display for my on-the-go setup. That means something that I can game on if I bring an Xbox or a PC with me, or something to use as a secondary display on my iPad Pro or a laptop setup. And thankfully, UPerfect reached out and sent over their 16-inch 120 Hz 1440p gaming external display for me to test out. So, I've always been looking for something, like I mentioned, to be able to game on as well as use as a secondary, more of a work-focused display, and this should do both of those things perfectly. So let's just jump into it, get this thing out of the box, and take a look at what it has to offer. Let's open this thing up. So getting this box opened up, UPerfect has done a really nice job of packaging this thing, making sure nothing gets damaged during shipping. And of course we have the 16-inch 2560 by 1600 120Hz display, but we also get a bunch of accessories included in the box. We get two USB-C to USB-C cables, one for DisplayPort and one for charging, and then we also get a mini HDMI to full-size HDMI cable. We also then get, let's see, a power brick USB-C if you don't have built-in, let's say 65-watt power delivery out of a USB-C port on a laptop. But overall, a lot of nice things included in the box. Really nice getting all of these cables. So you get one USB-C for charging, one USB-C for DisplayPort or video out, and then the HDMI cable as well, depending on your use case for this monitor. So if you're going to use an Xbox or maybe an older laptop, then you have the HDMI, and if you're going to use maybe a newer laptop, you have USB-C. Let's get this thing out of the package. So now that we have this thing out of the packaging, it's really, really nice. It's pretty light, I would say, much lighter than, let's say, a laptop at a 16-inch size, because all we have is the display. And overall, you get this nice protective, it's kind of like a faux leather portfolio case for it, just to keep everything protected, with a couple different notches in it so that when you do put it down, it'll sit in one of those grooves, and then you can have two different angles for the display to sit at. It would have been nice to have maybe a little bit more adjustment to the display angle, but you do get two decent setups, one more of an upright viewing angle, almost at, I would say, probably like 80 degrees. If I put this right in front of the camera, you can see it's kind of like an 80-degree setup. And if we go to the little bit more drawn out one, then it's maybe at like 60 degrees. Overall, some pretty good viewing angles for you to be able to view this display. But that is if you want to view it head on. We'll have to take a look at how this thing looks when it comes to actual viewing angles, if you do put it off to the side, if you're not looking directly at the screen, how it works. So we got two USB-C on the side. One is for power delivery, the other one is for display. We also get that mini HDMI cable for us to be able to connect over HDMI. And then on the other side, we get our volume rocker, power button, and aux port. We do have built-in speakers on this thing as well, and even a VESA mount if you did want to VESA mount this display and use it as an actual display for your setup. But I think now that we have this thing out of the box, it's time to put it to the test and see how it actually performs, both in games as well as a secondary display, if we're going to use it more for kind of a work setup. So first things first, I just want to look at this display in Windows hooked up to a regular PC, just so we can make sure that everything is working as intended. So we can see that 120 Hertz, also 100 Hertz and 60 Hertz available as refresh rates. It is only 8-bit color, which would have been nice for 10-bit, but it is 100% sRGB, and the brightness levels are also really nice, getting up to almost 500 nits, right around 480 nits peak brightness. So 2560 by 1600, 120 Hertz at 16 inches, really nice color accuracy. Overall, it's a really, really good display for gaming. And as we can see, hooked up and playing Valorant at 120 Hertz, even though this monitor isn't G-Sync compatible, doesn't have variable refresh rate or anything like that, it does a really nice job of handling the fluctuation in refresh rate. I'm pushing well over 600 FPS in this game, and it's doing a great job of not really having any screen tearing or anything like that. And we can see just how good the response time is on this monitor. You can see just how little ghosting there is on the front and rear trailing edge of the UFO. But this is really the setup I imagine using this monitor in, whether it be a Nintendo Switch or it's a Xbox Series S or a Xbox One S like we have here. The Xbox One S maybe can't support the full capabilities of this monitor, only 1080p at 120 hertz. But look at how nice the colors look on this monitor. And when we do jump into Fortnite, we get the sound going. This thing also sounds pretty good. I mean, they're very small speakers. It's a very thin display, so it doesn't sound amazing. You'd probably use a headset with this, but overall, it's a nice experience to be able to set up a portable gaming setup like this with an Xbox or a Switch or something like that. And then if you do want to use it more as a work-based display. So now we're not really gaming. We don't need the 120 hertz capabilities. And we're going to hook it up to a M1 iPad Pro. And really just how does this thing work as a standard laptop display? So whether you're using a smaller 11-inch screen like on this iPad or you're using a 16-inch laptop, this thing will work perfectly with any of those setups. It really does lend itself to a variety of use cases, especially on the go. So whether it's web browsing and searching YouTube videos, just having a bigger display to look at, it's really, really nice. Or doing things like, using Photoshop or applications that require a bigger screen. Now, you don't have the touch capability with this display, which would be nice, but you do have that bigger surface area to look at and use to view things like applications like Photoshop or Illustrator, or just watching movies or watching YouTube. It's a really nice experience with the color accuracy and the size of this display compared to another device that you might be hooking up to it. And the other really nice thing is that you do have the ability to actually charge through the display. So you can plug in power to the display, have your iPad or whatever device plugged in for display out, and then it will actually charge through the display and charge up your iPad or other device. And it doesn't just stop with an on-the-go setup. This thing is also perfect as like a second or third monitor on a regular desktop setup. You can kind of use it off to the side. It fits perfectly in a vertical orientation with a 27-inch monitor. And the screen comes in at just $169 on sale right now, typically around $220, either through Amazon or through UPerfect's website. Overall, it's a really, really good deal to just have that external display on the go for gaming. Maybe it's a laptop that you don't have a really high refresh rate screen on, or you want a bigger screen for something like a phone or a Switch. This is a perfect addition for your portable on the go setup. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, leave those down below. If you haven't already, get subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next one.